Trains can be put to many tasks. Here, a cargo of amazing animals
Whoa, I guess.
and crazy circus clowns
He's driving that thing like it's on rails.
require a train crew to work against the clock.
Woo!
It'll take all night, but they have to get the greatest show on Earth to its next stop in less than 24 hours.
The only way it can get there is on the circus train.
My name is Matt Baum. Ever since I was a kid, I've been obsessed with trains. My day job? I work on a railroad in Maine. But this is my dream. To ride the biggest, fastest, most awesome trains in history.
The Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus train is the longest private train in the world. It's over 1.5 kilometers long and travels 20,000 miles a year.
Look at this thing, it just keeps going and going. I can't even see the end of it down there.
With over 4 tons of stage sets, this train has its work cut out.
It's literally a town built for the rails. The Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. It's the greatest show on Earth.
This is the circus's last show in Baltimore. As soon as the curtain drops, the crew will have to pack up the equipment, load over 30 animals and 98 performers, and get to Washington, D.C. for the next show. They have 24 hours. How this circus moves from town to town is more amazing than all of the acts put together. The train trip is the easy part. The real story is the huge effort this train crew makes to get the show packed up and loaded onto the circus train. This huge train is made of 33 coaches for the performers and crew, 4 stock cars for the elephants and horses, and 19 flat cars.
The 19 flat cars carry everything from lighting equipment to concessions, from the trapezes to the ring bumpers. If it's going to the arena, it's on these flat cars right here.
But no one's going anywhere until the arena's empty. The last show in Baltimore has just finished, and the crew kick into gear.
All of this stuff right here is going to be getting on the train.
Everything backstage, from elephants to electrical cables, must be packed up and loaded quickly.
Vámonos al show. A darle, duro.
Yeah!
But packing up all this gear is only half the job. Over at the yard, the rest of the crew have to get the train ready for the trip. Here, this hard-working crew is led by Mike Hickey.
If something happens and your finger's in there, you're gonna lose them.
He's known by one name, the Train Master.
If this train were a small town, Mike Hickey would be the mayor. Car 58 is the train shop. This is where Mike and his crack team of mechanics rebuild or fix anything that needs to be repaired on the train.
These guys are ready for any emergency. But their most important job is just keeping the train running.
So when you're moving the circus between cities, every second counts.
The circus has been in Baltimore for 10 days. But because the train isn't just the transport for the circus, but also its living quarters, it needs power when stationary. Everyone living on this train, even the elephants, depend on power. And right now, there's a big problem.
Hello, Nick.
Go ahead.
I see 4 lights are out on these stock cars. We gotta get fixed.
Lovely.
The last thing these guys need is a power outage. Luckily, the circus train rides with 2 of its own generators.
Diesel generators use the power from an engine to spin an alternator to make electricity. These generators keep power flowing to all the cars on the train. Each one is capable of producing 400 kilowatts of electricity. These guys in charge are electricians Nick and Billy.
It's their job to keep this rolling power plant going.
But right now, the generator isn't turning.
Oil level?
3/4.
Hey guys, how many people are relying on you for power?
About 250 of them.
And they're looking for you guys.
No power means no lights, no heat, and most importantly for Bello, Ringling Brothers' featured clown, no hairdryer. The show must go on, so Nick and Billy get to work. First, they make sure the generators have enough fuel. Then they check that the connections between the generators and the rest of the train are good. And finally, they hope for a little showbiz magic.
Thanks to these guys, we have power again.
But just when the power is sorted, the trainmaster has some more bad news. This time, it's the wheels.
Hello, Mike Hickey, over.
On down here, we got a problem.
Okay, roger that, we'll be right down.
The circus train always carries 2 sets of extra wheels. Before leaving, they have to mount a set of spare wheels under the train.
And these are actually like a spare tire on your car, except they weigh 3,500 pounds. 3,500 pounds! We have to take that spare set of wheels and mount them back underneath. If this doesn't get done, it's gonna cause a big delay. Let's get to it. They've lifted them up, they've hooked the chain up. We're gonna mount them on the bracket underneath the car right here.
This process is called slinging wheels. Mike and his crew have to hoist the train car up far enough to fit the wheels underneath.
When we get done, this set of wheels is going to be slung under this car.
The track sets the spare wheel in exactly the right place.
I thought this was gonna be easy. I thought it was gonna be lift the wheel up, put it underneath the bracket, but this is taking forever.
With the wheels nearly in place, it's showtime for the loading crew.
You can't fit it right. Brian, back up. Oh! Oh, oh, oh. Oh,
But there's a problem.
don't move.
The wheel is jammed.
It's not looking good. There's definitely a sense of urgency under here. These guys, they have to get these wheels underneath the train.
We got to bring the wheels in here.
The pressure's on forklift driver Brian.
Brian, shift this way a little bit. Straighten your wheels. Come ahead, easy.
One false move, and he could damage the wheel, or worse, hurt one of the team.
You're dealing with inches.
Millimeters. It's very meticulous to try and do this.
You're dealing with 3,500 pounds of wheel. They get guys underneath the car. Any false move, it's gonna be disaster. They're so close. They've actually gotten the wheel over there. They just gotta get by that bracket now.
Stop.
We've got the wheels up on the bracket. We're almost there. Very close to being done.
Just a little bit more to the left, and they can lock the wheels in place. Job done. Now they can move on. While they make their final preparations, work continues in the arena. Everything under the big top, from lights to performers to horses to elephants, need to board the circus train. Delays are not an option.
And I know it's going to be a long night.
Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus train keeps the greatest show on earth moving from town to town. Some of the circus's main attractions are their highly trained horses and amazing performing elephants. The greatest show on earth features Asian elephants and a troupe of Arabian, Frisian, quarter, standardbred and miniature horses. The horses are so well trained that they follow the ringmaster's voice commands without wearing a harness. The Asian elephants can understand up to 60 voice commands and always impress the audiences. These elephants can even paint. Taking care of these star performers is a huge responsibility. At the front of the train, behind the engines, is where the animals go when the train is moving. There, cars closest to the engine have a smoother ride.
These stock cars are home to the elephants and the horses while they're on the rails. Tigers, zebras, and other animals travel by road in trailers.
10 elephants ride with the circus, and their combined weight is 13,000 kilos. But before they can board the train, a very important job needs to be done. The dirtiest job on the train, mucking out. Just one elephant consumes 70 kilos of food a day. And with over 30 animals on the train, it's messy.
Hey, Carrie.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. And you can grab a shovel and help out.
Oh, you're gonna put me right to work. Okay. Right into the dumpster it goes. It's too bad they haven't invented scratch and sniff television yet. Mucking out the car.
The dirtiest job on the train is done. The stock car also has horse stalls, and this one has some advanced features.
We have a misting system for when it's really hot.
And that's this right here. Looks like you guys really take care of the horses.
It sounds kind of cliche, but they are part of the family, so we try to take care of them just as well as our people.
The crew have just 3 hours and 30 men to get the train to DC loaded. First, the most important part of the loading process. All of the circus's main attractions, its performers and star animals get on board the 33 coaches and 4 stock cars. If an animal gets spooked in these confined quarters, they could do themselves or their handlers some serious damage. The horses are trooping on like clockwork, but Asia, the elephant, has other ideas. She just won't budge. No one wants a rogue elephant on the loose.
That elephant over there weighs 4 tons. That could do some damage to your foot.
After some sweet talking from her handler, Asia agrees to climb aboard.
Wow, I hope those elephants are locked in.
With the animals loaded, it's time to load the equipment.
Working at the rail yard at night, safety is at the utmost importance. You want to be visible, so I've got my vest, I've got my lantern, I'm ready to go.
But the 4,000 tons of equipment are still in the arena.
Kind of seems like the whole process of getting the wagons from the building to here is out of your hands.
Yes, it is.
How does that feel?
Not good. About ready to go move wagons at the building, you know. If he's doing one wagon at a time, we're gonna be here forever.
With all of the coaches and stock cars loaded, the flat cars are left to load with only 2 hours to do it. Mike and the crew are ready.
Is it another hurry up and wait situation?
Yes, it is.
Something going on at the building? Or?
I hope so.
Over at the arena, the cleanup crew is hard at work. Dave Pittenger is the circus's transportation boss.
Hey, Dave.
Go.
54 and finish.
All right, thank you.
It's his job to get the show's 6 tons of stage sets and 350 costumes onto those wagons and over to the train yard. And he's running out of time.
All right, so you got 7 and 8, and then 54 will be ready in about 3 minutes. You ready?
Dave knows how to get the job done.
Sometime today!
They did it. These wagons are ready to roll. It takes a fleet of heavy-duty towing units to get all this gear from the arena to the train. The wagons have made it to the rail yard to be loaded onto the circus train.
They're on top of the wagon right here.
19 flat cars with 4,000 tons of equipment and an hour to do it.
For the train crew, the tension is building. For them, there's only one show tonight. We still got a long, long ways to go. These guys are gonna have to make up time one way or another.
The first step is to link the wagons together in a line. This is called tonguing.
We've got more wagons here. We're gonna hook them on, we're gonna load them right up.
Now, the real challenge, getting the wagons up onto the flat cars. They use the push plate.
One of the most notable innovations in circus loading is this thing right here, this plate. It was invented by Mike Hickey himself.
This iron push plate is used to attach the caterpillar to the rear of the circus wagon.
This is the muscle. This is what gets these wagons up onto the placards right here. See in the back here, this guy's doing all the pushing.
That little caterpillar has an operating capacity of 2,000 pounds.
Now he's gonna spin right around here. Watch this. It's just like the tilt-a-whirl. Do you see that thing spin around?
Safety is paramount. One mistake and someone could lose a limb.
We have these whistles just in case something goes wrong, like a wheel slips off, a load shifts, you blow the whistle one time, that means stop. Everybody knows that means stop. Everything will stop. You see how that worked? He stopped.
What, did wheels get caught on the flat?
Yeah, I'll get front flag back about 12 feet.
You don't need about another 1.5 feet, Keith.
Yeah, stop, Rod.
You see how that worked? He stopped. It held the trailer right there. Can you show me? Do you have all your fingers?
Oh, yeah. They're this much.
Once all the wagons are in place, they're secured to the flat cars with heavy-duty steel chains. So there's no chance of them moving around once the train starts to roll.
These guys are making it look easy, but it's really not. All the wagons are on. Now we're gonna pull the plates off the back.
The custom-made steel plates on this ramp weigh 180 kilos each.
Come around the end. Come around the end.
I'm beat right now, out of breath. Woo! We just about have the flat cars loaded. Now we're gonna finish putting the train together.
It's 4 a.m. and it's time to go. But there's an important piece of machinery missing, the engine. The circus doesn't have its own locomotive. They rent them from the local railway companies in the area they are in.
This is a time that Mike Hickey hates because he's at the mercy of the railroad.
That'd be a very accurate statement.
But just before it's too late, the engines arrive. The train has to be put together in the correct order.
The circus train is put together a certain way every time.
At the front of the train, the engine, then the stock cars, followed by the coaches, and finally the flats.
Mike is lining the cars up this way, so when we get to DC, everything's gonna come off nice and smooth. There it is. That's a good hook right there. Everything came down, the train's hooked up.
The train is ready.
As long as things are moving, we still have a chance of making it to DC on time.
We'll make it there on time.
It's now 5 a.m. Albeit an hour late, Mike receives word from the railway and we're clear for departure.
We can only hope the rails ahead are clear so we can make it to DC on time.
We've got 3.5 hours to get this circus to the next town or risk disappointing tomorrow's audience if we don't make it. Aboard the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus train from Baltimore, Maryland to Washington, D.C., it's the middle of the night. In just 3 hours, we're supposed to arrive in Washington, unload our train, and get ready for the next performance.
Everybody on the train's asleep right now, but if things keep going like this, we're gonna make it to Washington on time.
In the 1870s, dozens of circuses crisscrossed America. The biggest was owned by the legendary P.T. Barnum. But Barnum's show was too big to travel by horse-drawn wagon. And if he couldn't move it, he'd go out of business. In 1872, Barnum saw a way to revolutionize the circus and make his fortune. He loaded his huge show onto a train. This stroke of genius allowed him to take the biggest circus ever seen across the country. By 1915, the circus had expanded to 85 rail cars, pulled in 4 sections by 4 separate steam locomotives. Circuses have moved on trains ever since. The first steam-powered rail locomotive was invented by George Stephenson at the turn of the 19th century. But early steam engines were slow and unreliable. By 1872, when Barnum had loaded his circus onto a train, steam engines had come a long way. By the turn of the 20th century, steam engines were powerful enough to pull Barnum's entire circus and carry the circus to a new destination almost every day.
Here's how a steam engine works. This part of the locomotive is called the tender. It carries 7,200 gallons of water, 17 tons of coal. The coal is burned here in the firebox. It's like a huge furnace. The heat from the coal turns the water into steam right here in the boiler. Steam is forced into this chamber right here. Now the pressure that's created in there moves the pistons that eventually make the wheels turn. The person in charge of keeping the coal fires burning is the fireman. The first thing the fireman has to do is cut the coal.
It was a dirty and dangerous job.
Wow, this is the tender right here. This is where all the coal is, and this is Mike.
Hi, Matt.
Oh, let me get up here. How you doing today, Mike?
Good, good.
All right, so what's the plan? What are we gonna be doing?
We're gonna break up some of this coal up here and move it down there.
Okay, so essentially it's making the fireman's job easier by getting the coal closer to the firebox.
That is correct.
All right, I think I'm ready for this. Let's get to it. Now, in the old days, they didn't use these respirators here. They toughed it out and died of black lung at an early age. I take it we're gonna need this shovel right here.
Coal needed to get down to what's known as the kitchen, where they'd shovel the coal into the firebox to produce steam.
Woo! It's like being in a coal mine down here. You have to be pretty tough to do this job back in the day. What do you think, Mike? We got enough?
I think that'll get us started.
Whew.
Moving over to the firebox.
Now it's time to put some coals on. Now, shoveling this coal is a tricky process. If I don't put enough coal in here, the engine's not gonna go anywhere. If I put on too much coal, it's gonna burn off all the water, and the engine's gonna explode. It's 2,000 degrees in there, and I'm like 5 inches from it.
To keep the heat even, the coals need to be spread around. It's hard, hot work.
Whew. Man, it gets hotter when you get closer. It's like the pits from hell. I think I just saw Satan himself in there. Well, John, how's that?
It's getting there.
The fireman has to be very careful to put just the right amount of coal into the firebox.
I gotta tell you, conductors these days, they don't know how easy they have it. This is hard, hot, noisy, sweaty work. I don't think I could get used to this.
The diesel locomotives pulling this circus train have 4,400 horsepower. Each locomotive has 12 cylinders that generate 360 horsepower. The power from the cylinders spins a generator that feeds over 2,000 amps of electricity to the traction motors. Those traction motors turn the wheels and make us go. The Ringling Brothers have 2 circus trains that travel all over America. They carry over 50 animals and around 200 performers, visiting 42 North American cities and entertaining 2.5 million people a year. Circus performers come from all over the world to entertain new audiences every night. But visiting 42 cities every year means that the performers spend a lot of time traveling and need somewhere to stay. After over 100 years of traveling all over America, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus found a viable solution. The circus people live on the trains. While everyone else might be asleep, one family is getting up early. John Griggs is the general manager of the circus.
John?
Hey, how's it going?
Nice to see you again.
John's been with the circus since 1985, and it looks like his son might follow in his footsteps.
This guy here, is he an acrobat or what? Is he acrobat in the making? Bryce, you want to show me some moves? All right, let's see it. Is that a move? Is that a circus move?
Here they have a living room, kitchen, bedroom and bathroom just for the Griggs family.
TV, video, it's all the comforts of home.
You're at home, but you're on a train,
Right.
which I think is just awesome.
There's not too many people that can say my home is a train.
Can you show me the rest of the car?
Sure.
It's like living in a Manhattan apartment.
Nice.
Except this home moves around the country.
This is basically a place for his stuff, his movies, his toys.
His elephants. This is Bryce's room. Can you show me your room?
Sure. Well, right this way, here's the master bedroom. Well, first of all, it's forced rest. That's when I'm not working, I can just sit back, relax, and enjoy my family and sleep on a moving train, which just rocks you to sleep.
The Griggs family is going to get some breakfast. It's time to check on progress. On the Ringling Brothers Circus train halfway between Baltimore and Washington, D.C., there's a problem.
This freight train out here has higher priority than the circus train. So they're sending this freight train by us while we sit on the side track.
This route is heavily used by commuters and shipping companies. 35 trains run on this line every day. When a train needs to pass another train on a single track, one of them goes into a side track called a siding. It's like a passing place on a narrow road. It's an early morning traffic jam causing a headache for the train crew. But back in the performers' living quarters, all is quiet.
These doors, they're little rooms. This is where the circus performers sleep. You've got train crew guys sleeping in here. In the circus, if you're the ringmaster or the star trapeze artist, this is the kind of room you're gonna have right here.
On overnight passenger trains, sleeping accommodation can be anything from a small bunk to a spacious master cabin. The goal is to make the passengers feel as comfortable as possible on a moving train. The circus train takes the same approach. For the stars of the circus, a good night's rest is key to their performance the next day.
Get your kitchen, microwave, bunk, coffee machine. That's gonna come in handy. You and I might call this a toilet, but in the circus, they call this the Donaker. In a couple of hours, we're gonna be in Washington, D.C., so I'm gonna take advantage of this nice room and catch a few Z's.
Luckily, we've got a seasoned and well-rested crew running this train, because sleep deprivation on the railways can spell disaster. On the 22nd of June 1918, a devastating train accident changed rail history forever. Just outside Gary, Indiana, the Hagenbeck-Wallace circus train was hit head-on by an army troop train. Of the 300 passengers aboard the circus train, 86 were killed. Accident investigators concluded that the engineer of the troop train had fallen asleep at the controls. As a result, regulations were put into place by the rail authorities to ensure engineers would get a set amount of rest before starting a new shift. On a mile-long train that takes half a minute to stop, it is vital to be alert. The train is moving again. When you're working through the night, one thing is guaranteed to keep you going: caffeine.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm good.
Glad to hear that.
Could I have a large coffee black and wheat toast dry, please? Looks nice and hot. It's cold outside.
Very cold.
This is the Pie Car. Open 24/7, the Pie Car is a restaurant on wheels. With over 200 people to feed every day, it consumes plenty of supplies.
If you're lucky, Uncle John's gonna be the one cooking you the meal.
Uncle John's busy getting a head start cooking one of the main meals to be served later in the day.
You wanna try cutting a couple? Sure. Let me give this a try here.
Let's see what you got.
You haven't lost a finger doing this, have you?
Negative, sir.
It's pretty tough to cut there. I think I can smell the potatoes, and it smells good.
I've got some portobello mushrooms and bacon already sauteed off.
Did you say portobello mushrooms?
I did.
I think I'm going to be coming to the pie car a little later here. Put it right there?
Yes, sir.
All right.
True artwork.
Uncle John's kitchen is a feat of modern engineering. This is Palmetto in Florida. Here, the circus has its own workshop where they refurbish and customize used rail carriages, from an elephant stock car to a clown's bedroom. Disused 1950s passenger cars are bought for $10,000. First, they are completely gutted, leaving the engineers a stainless steel or aluminium shell to work with. Then the frames are covered with a special paint that reveals any cracks or weak spots. Once the cars are structurally sound, work starts on the interiors. It takes 9,000 man-hours and up to $1 million to refurbish the rail cars for the circus train. But building the pie car was money well spent. The locomotive may use diesel to get going, but the crew get fuel right here.
The pie cars come to life. People are eating their breakfast. They're getting ready to go to work.
There's a long day ahead.
The sun's coming up, and I would say we're getting close to DC. It's looking promising right now.
As soon as the circus yard pulls into the rail yard, the greatest show on earth begins. Riding the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus train, we're about to arrive in Washington, D.C. As soon as we get in, the train needs to be unloaded and the arena set up for the show.
The sun's coming up. I think we're going to arrive on schedule.
Our final destination is the Benning Rail Yard. Unloading the 4,000 tons of gear, 98 performers and 30 animals in the same 24 hours it was loaded is full on. There's still a lot of work to do. Anyone who has seen the Barnum and Bailey Circus knows the kind of world-class performers who grace the big top each night. But another great performance takes place behind the curtains when the greatest show on earth becomes the biggest nightly production on earth. The circus crew has to break down 4,000 tons of equipment in a matter of hours. And some of the gear sits high up in the rafters of the largest indoor arenas. While everyone loves the thrill of the circus's high-wire act, few ever get to see the behind-the-scenes balancing act that goes on up here without nets. Ringling Brothers crew excel in efficiency. This crew can break down and load all of its unicycles, clown cars, and human cannons in a matter of hours. But it wasn't always so easy. In 1872, when P.T. Barnum first hauled his circus by train, loading the hundreds of sets, performers, and elephants was a massive task. Barnum was saved by William Cameron Koo, the circus's general manager. Koo realized the only way to do it was to load everything in precise order and to use the animals to do the heavy lifting. This system was so efficient that in the First World War, the US Army looked to the circus as a model. The Army and the Ringling Brothers continued to use the same principles to load and unload their equipment. Mike, the trainmaster, and his crew are ready to get this circus train unloaded. He needs an army of sleep-deprived carnies to unload this circus train, and fast. It's getting close to showtime.
It's 10 a.m. Mike and his crew are back to work. No rest for the weary. I'm running on fumes right now. Did you get any sleep?
Probably got, I don't know, 20 or 30-minute power nap. People say power naps don't work. They work. I'm the king of power naps.
Can you give me any advice on how to keep going here?
Keep moving.
Keep moving?
Keep moving.
All right, I won't sit down.
All right, Phil, start setting ramp.
The train crew fight against the clock as they set up the specially made ramp so they can unload all 51 wagons full of circus equipment.
Piece by piece, they're putting together the ramp that they took apart in Baltimore. It's like a giant erector set. These guys didn't get any more sleep than I did. And I'm about ready to croak right now. I don't know how they do this every week. Mike and his crew are like a well-oiled machine. They're gonna have this ramp done in no time. This thing isn't light.
Ramps set, the unloading begins.
These guys are amazing. They're doing more in one day with no sleep than the average person does in a work week. When these guys are unloading these wagons, they're bringing them right across that crossing there. They've got to be extra careful because there are trains on that track all the time, 24 hours a day. They got to be really looking out. Mike and his crew have unloaded all the wagons. Now the tow trucks are going to come and take them to the building.
It's time to unpack everything under the big top.
I've come this far. I'm not going to sleep yet.
In every city, the high point of the animal handler's job is a journey known as the Elephant Walk. After a night on the train, the four-legged circus stars need to stretch their legs on the way to the arena.
So where are we going again with the animals?
Well, we're walking downtown D.C., heading past the Capitol, and we're going to go to the arena. In good exercise form, so keeping up the fast pace.
I hope I'm up for it.
Circus fans love the Elephant Walk. This tradition has been going on for over a century, and it's the best way to get all these elephants and horses to the arena. Families arrive in good time to get their front row seat to see the elephants.
I'm not sure who the crowd likes more, Bella or Asia.
It's the end of a very demanding trip.
We finally made it. We're at the Verizon Center. We're here on time. The circus is going to go down soon.
Although they don't often hear the applause, the crew of the circus train are also the stars of the show. Without them, the greatest show on earth wouldn't exist.
I'm exhausted, and I hope they saved a bunk on the train for me.
But first, it's showtime.